Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here Monday, June 23rd. So right now we're taking a look at Trevor Lawrence, what he needs to do in 2025, kind of what he needs to prove, mostly to outside critics, I would say. I think the Jaguars are, without question, heavily committed to Trevor Lawrence. I don't think Liam Cohen would be here without Trevor Lawrence being in place. I think that was a big part of James Gladstone being so interested in this job as well. And you've heard it from the top down. And even if you hadn't heard it from the top down, the contract says it all. The Jaguars are not married to Trevor Lawrence, but they are heavily committed over the next several years, really to like 2029, 2030, to Trevor Lawrence. He's not going anywhere. I think it would take multiple years of not really seeing much improvement in this system for them to even start thinking about, maybe we do need to pivot. I think they are fully committed to him in that building, and they have every confidence in him. And quite frankly, so do I. I know if y'all watch this channel a lot, I have a lot of confidence in Trevor Lawrence. There are many things I do think he needs to prove. I don't think he needs to prove that he can play at an elite level. He has proven he can play at an elite level. Go back and watch the back half of 2022. He was playing at an insane level, lifting everyone around him, lifting the entire football team, right? 2023, same thing until he got injured in week 13 against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? He was playing at a whatever Pro Bowl, top 5, whatever level you want to put him at. He's done that. Like, he has proven that he can play at a high enough level to have a team in position to be close to the top of their conference, to win football games in the playoffs. That's not really the question, in my opinion. There are some questions he needs to answer, though, to become the best version of himself in 2025 and beyond. And it starts with, obviously it's already started. But on the field, it starts this September, when the Jaguars kick off their season against the Carolina Panthers. So we're going to dive into that. What I think, because even me being one of the most pro Trevor Lawrence people out there, there are still some things he can prove in this league without question. We're going to dive into it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. What's the number one way Trevor Lawrence can improve and prove himself in 2025? So for me, honestly, it starts with keeping himself out of harm's way unless it's entirely necessary. Like, if you are in a situation where you're trying to win a pivotal football game and you have the opportunity to lay yourself on the line to win that game, obviously you got to do that. You got to take that chance. That's being competitive. But if it's the third quarter of a game that, maybe it's a tight game, but is this play going to result in you winning the game or losing the game if you don't get it? Maybe that's the time where you slide. Maybe that's the time where you get out of bounds. Maybe that's the time where you go down without putting up a big fight. And I'm not saying for any other position, but quarterback, you have got to take care of yourself. And Trevor Lawrence, the last 2 seasons, I mean, he's had injuries that really negatively impacted him. So yeah, taking care of himself is huge. But and I say that he's got to be smart about it. He's got to know or be a better judge of when to go down, when to put himself at risk. Like, the play where he put himself at risk against the Eagles last year with the shoulder was unnecessary. Now, the Texans play Azeez Al-Shaair. Trevor Lawrence did everything he was supposed to do. He tried to get down, and that was just a dirty play by the Texans. That is not an example of what I'm talking about. But there's been multiple times throughout his career where maybe instead of stepping out of bounds as quickly as possible, he takes a little hit, right? Again, same thing like against the Eagles with the shoulder. Leading with his shoulder, didn't necessarily have to have that moment. Things like that, I think he can do a better job of. But hey, the offensive line can also do a much better job protecting him. There's been multiple instances throughout his career where we thought there was a serious injury on our hands for Trevor Lawrence, lower body, because of a blown one-on-one assignment from a left tackle. It's happened with Cam Robinson. It's happened with Walker Little. There's been myriad other times where an offensive lineman gives up a quick pressure and Trevor Lawrence is able to get out of it or make a play or just take the sack, whatever. But yes, the offensive line has to do a better job. Everyone has to do a better job taking care of this quarterback, including the quarterback. Another thing Trevor Lawrence can do a better job taking care of is the football. Fumbles, they've been an issue throughout his career. Are they consistently popping up week in and week out? No, but it does seem like there are instances, there are individual games, there are stretches of games where fumbles do become an issue for Trevor. Ball security. And I know that some might look at his turnovers throughout his career and say he has a turnover issue. I would strongly challenge and disagree with that. Trevor Lawrence has a fumbling issue, right? He does not have an interception issue. He's cleaner with the football than most when it comes to putting the ball in harm's way, throwing it. He is. But fumble-wise, yes. He's got to make sure week in and week out that that is a priority in his mind. In the pocket, the ball has to be high and tight. You have to have two hands on the ball when those muddied pockets happen. In space, again, it has to be held high and tight. Hand on the nose of the ball. It's got to be better. He cannot fumble the ball as much as he has to this point in his career. For the Jaguars and for his team to achieve the ultimate level of success. Now, is it always going to be something that's a little bit of an issue here and there with him? I do think so, because he's a quarterback that makes plays. He's a quarterback that takes risks. And you take the good with the bad usually with Trevor Lawrence. But he can definitely improve on ball security. I also think that Trevor needs to have confidence in his offensive system once again. He would never say it. He would never admit it. He probably doesn't even realize it himself. He was not confident in 2024 with what was going on around him. I think in 2022 and 2023, he still had enough confidence in his offense and his coaching that he could perform at a high level when he wasn't injured. Down the stretch in 2023, he struggled, but he was playing through injuries he shouldn't have been playing through. He needs to have the confidence in his offensive system, and part of this is, improving his footwork. I think that they had an archaic system under Doug Peterson over the last couple of years. Doug Peterson and Press Taylor were running archaic, ancient in NFL terms offense. And, ancient in the NFL is not 50 years ago. It's 5 years ago. You cannot have the same offense for 7-8 years, which is exactly what Doug Peterson had to an extent. I don't know if it was losing Jim Bob Cooter or what, but there were better passing concepts in 2022 than there were in 23 or 24. Bottom line. I don't know what happened. They quit running mesh, which was one of their gimme easy bread and butter plays. I don't know what happened there. That's just a quick example. Obviously, very little pre-snap movement. They weren't a very play action heavy team for most of the time here. Not a lot of condensed formations, inability to run the football, all these things. But Trevor needs to have confidence in Liam Cohen's offense. And I think he does. I think he should. Just look what Liam Cohen has done with Baker Mayfield, with Will Levis. Trevor Lawrence has to be confident in this system. He has to be confident in his receivers. He has to be confident in the footwork. And the way they're teaching the footwork is designed to have himself in the right base, in the right position, the right angles, to where when he gets to this read, he's in the perfect position to throw it with his footwork and with his base, right? And they're providing more answers than the previous offense provided. You could sit here and say that this is all conjecture and, oh, you got to prove it. They do have to prove it, but it's not like this is all without proof of concept. Baker Mayfield at times played like an MVP candidate last year. Very few quarterbacks have thrown 40 touchdowns in the NFL. He did it last year. So Trevor needs to have confidence in this system. And I think he needs to have confidence in the guys he's thrown to as well. And I think he should have a lot more confidence to the guys he's throwing to now. When you talk about Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, Britton Strange, I think he can have confidence in. Travis Etienne, I believe he can have confidence in, right? So there's a number of guys. And I think beyond just having confidence in his receiving targets, having confidence that the play will be designed to best utilize the skill sets of those receiving targets. There's many examples of that not being the case over the last couple years, where a play is drawn up for a certain player that play should have never been drawn up for that player, like as the primary read. Unbelievable stuff. Finally, I think just improving consistency overall. We talk about 22 as a spectacular season for him. It was his second year in the league, first year under Doug Peterson, first year with any real coaching. And I think that Doug Peterson did do a good job in 2022 overall to set a floor for the team. And my hand motion there got the camera out of whack. Talking with my hands too much. But he set a floor. Raised the bar and set that floor. But it took a little while for Trevor Lawrence in 2022 to find his consistency. Now, once he did, around like week 7 or 8, whatever it was pedal to the floor. I mean, it was unbelievable how well that offense performed down the stretch. 23, I thought he was very consistent as well until he got injured in week 13, and then you saw the peaks and valleys, and a lot more valleys, unfortunately. But really, 2024 was inconsistent, and I don't put that all on him. It was inconsistent before the injuries. Like, he played well in Miami. I don't think he played perfect. I think he played very well. Of course, Doug Peterson took the game out of his hands in the fourth quarter for whatever reason, until the very last drive when it was, you have to pass the ball. It was idiotic. Week 2 against the Browns, I mean, I know the Browns have a very good defense, but the way he played in the first half was unacceptable. It was bad. He played much better in the second half. Against Houston, not a great first outing against them, but there were some high-level moments, and that wasn't consistent enough performance. He was mostly good. Like, he played pretty well against Green Bay. He played pretty well against the Eagles. He did some nice things last year, but it wasn't consistent enough. And again, there were problems all over the offense, all over the team. It wasn't just on him. But finding that consistency that he had before he got injured in week 13 of 2023, the consistency he was displaying from like week 7 or 8 of 2022 to week 13 of 2023, finding that again, or even reaching a higher level than that, which I think he can in this offense with this skill group around him, that's what you're looking for. I think he's going to be able to do a lot of these things. And I think he's going to have the best season of his career. But the reason I led with the injury stuff is because he can't have the success that I think he's going to if he can't stay healthy. And again, that's not just on him, but he does hold some responsibility when it comes to keeping himself healthy. He's got to try to do that this year. And look, this is a guy that was never injured before 2023. He had played all of his career at Clemson. I think he missed one game for COVID or something like that. Hadn't missed any time in the NFL, 2021, 2022. Most of 2023 until, week 13. And nobody thought he was going to play against New Orleans on a short week after the injury he sustained, and he was able to do that, and he played well, and he led the team to a victory. He was the catalyst for that win. So Lawrence is tough, but maybe it's just been bad luck the last couple of years. Whatever it is, he needs to stay healthy. If he can't do that, the Jaguars are stuck in the mud. So that's the most important thing. And if he can, I think they're gonna be high flying. They're gonna be passing the ball all over the yard, using all that speed, athleticism, Liam Cohen's ability to design plays, draw it up for the playmakers. So I have a lot of confidence that Trevor Lawrence will be able to reach all these goals if he can stay healthy. And that's where we're at. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.